I know, don't you love it, right? People often ask me, where do you see this going? I'm like, I have no idea. It's like it's by far the happiest part of my career is to be with all of you. It's your best day when you don't know where something's going. Because if you know where something's going, it means you're trying to control it. And if you're trying to control it, it's going to look just like it did yesterday, just you'll have on different attire. Right? So I just want to acknowledge our voices, our AV team, our band. I mean, they spend so many hours. You know, we're just so blessed. We're so grateful, all the willingness that they do, because keep in mind, the people that you see here on Sunday, they're not just here on Sunday. They're here during the week. They travel to different communities to find out how to better what we're offering here. And oh my gosh, Matthew. Where is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Where's Matthew? Well, I just want to say, you know, Matthew, I was blown away, obviously, by his performance. I'm also blown away by all the performances he had to get to do what we looked at today. I mean, wow. I don't know about you. I'm going home and do some movement and some tightening up. I mean, I just feel that's going to be necessary for my day. So a young man is getting ready to graduate from college. And he, you know, his father was very wealthy. And so he had already picked out that he wanted this incredible convertible for his graduation present. And he had showed his dad and given him a business card and said, this is where it is, and thank you, and this is the gift I want. So the young man, he graduates, and the father tells him to come over. I've got a gift for you. So he walks in the door, and Dad gives him a very small package. He's a little bit taken back, but he opens the package and he goes, "Are you kidding me? You know what I wanted, and you've given me a book?" He gets so angry, he throws his gift in the floor. He leaves and doesn't speak to his father all through the years. His dad died younger, and so here's the young man finding himself back on his dad's property and in his home. And he looks, and over there, still with some of the wrapper of the gift, on his dad's desk is this book. And he begins to weep. And he goes over and he really, delves in, and he looks at the book and he holds it up and he decides to open it. Well, when he opens it, a key falls out. And it's the business card from the dealership with the note from his dad that said, "Paid in full." Whoa. You can't judge a book by cover. And you can't judge a book by what's inside the cover. And often, there's a full price that we are getting ready to receive. There's something in the midst of us. There's a person. There's an experience. And when we get into the habit of being judgmental, instead of the ability to discern, if he had just taken one more minute to say, "Let me discern. I've known this man all my life. He's been good to me. He's the reason I graduated from college. Let me not get confused," and open that up. But see, he went to pure judgment. A number of you gave me positive comments last week, and so I decided to do part 2 today. So we talk about judgment and discernment. What is the difference? Often when people language concerns or constructive criticism, they're so quick to say, "Oh, I don't want to be judgmental. Oh my goodness." There's a big difference between being judgmental and discernment. Let's say all of you want your favorite pair of loafers, and you've been looking online, you Appos and all the other things, and you looked, and finally you find a store, and there they are. okay? And you put them on and they hurt your feet. Are you going to keep wearing them? I wanted them so bad. They hurt though. I'm going to keep doing it. Do you? Absolutely not. In discernment, you might have the right idea. It may not be the right shoe at the moment, you see. Judgment is if you start blaming the shoemaker. What was he thinking? He could have sold 500 shoes today. What's wrong with him? He must have came from some kind of dysfunctional family. He's not listening to his customers. You see where I just went? I went somewhere bigger and different, and the judgment is within me, not within my external experience. It's like the teacher asked little Glenn, please, sorry I'm not doing you, I was already doing this. So she asked Glenn, how do you spell crocodile? He said, Krokodil. And she said, that's not how you spell crocodile. That's wrong. He said, it might be wrong, but you asked me how I spell it. I spell it. So when we talk about each week training our minds so our hearts can be open, we want to learn how to discern. When we are referring to other people, their experiences, what's going on, what's not going on, we want to be able to discern so we can really understand the language. It may not be how we spell it, but it doesn't mean that their language is inaccurate or their language is wrong, you see. I love the story of the gentleman that's doing marketing research. It was in the days of the Wonder Bread. And so he showed up at one of the grocery stores and he asked a man, he saw he had Wonder Bread in his cart. And he said, could I ask you a couple of questions? Sure. He said, with us advertising Wonder Bread, Wonder Bread, Wonder Bread, does that have anything to do with the fact of you buying this bread today? Absolutely not. No, not a thing. No, I just wanted bread and I picked it up. He said, well, why Wonder Bread? And he said, because it makes my body stronger 8 times. And this is where our real work is. Not to live behind cliches and platitudes and use language like unconditional love and all of that. That's by itself isn't spelled wrong, you see. But when it is the language, so when I say train mind, when you're walking down the street and you see someone and something is telling you something that doesn't sound very unity, you want to say, when I get home, I'm going to look at that. When I do my journal tonight, I'm going to delve deeper into that because somehow I've been influenced and it's not necessarily how I feel. When you see a pit bull, then listen to the language because you have been influenced like that of Wonder Bread, and you may not believe that any kind of disease or discord is relevant to a whole breed of a species, for goodness sakes. But everybody, if that were true, none of us that are still breeded today would be here, because some people that represent our breed, we do a lot of discerning, don't we? And so it's you look at these languages, the things that you say. One of the things that we do when we use judgment and we assess people is the role that they play, right? The role that they play. So if it's I know you're like that. I've got you summed up because you are a teenager. Oh, I know. You're a CEO, so that means you're just, that role. Yeah, you're just a tad better than the rest of us, right? Or you're like going to the principal's office, right? Oh, yeah, that role that you play. Some Sundays ago, a woman came up to me and said, you know that blonde-haired lady up there in the AV booth, the one that pushes the buttons? And I said, you mean in our New York apartment now, in our AV booth there? Yeah, the blonde lady that's pushing the buttons. I said, that blonde-haired lady pushing the buttons manages 2 banks for Chase, is highly noted all over the United States. She's asked to attend all these mega meetings and teach other people how she does what she does. And I'm telling you, she runs her bank like a spiritual community. It is a treat to be there. Thank you, David. And all of that space. But she does what she does here in this role because she loves this place. And so it's an important factor, and when I traveled the country and I used to train in corporate America and in the UK, I saw this as what happens in systems. Whether it's the bank or whether it's a hospital or whether it's a restaurant, people have already pre-decided who someone is based on the part that they play, right? And so that being said, I brought all of them together, all the ones important in the high offices with all the glass, and I brought all of them, the CNA to the DON to the administrator, you name it. I brought them all in. And I said, all right, I want you to tell us something that nobody would have a way of knowing. Tell us something. And so here's the director of nursing that people had already met with me at the water fountain and told me, she is so rigid. She's really the problem. She doesn't ever have a new idea. She's not spontaneous. Oh my God, she is like a box. So she speaks, and she proceeds to say, my husband and I, just one time during our career, we decided, let's just go, baby. We went, we learned how to sail. We took a sailboat across the Atlantic Ocean and then some, and we didn't come back for 2 years. What just happened? What just happened? Everybody I feel a different way. I discern you in a different way. I am aware that I was judging you because of your title. So is this working for you? Can you relate to the ideas and certain things? It's really important. One of the things that when we talk about activism that I have always felt since childhood is to honor young people and to honor the elder. Elder Florida 90 plus, and even they don't admit it. So, but none of you start looking at me odd because I'm just wanting to tell a story here. People get prejudged. So one of our members, this was when I first started here, actually, Peggy Sandin. She's had a new address for close to a year. She died last August. And so Peggy said, I really want to meet with you and I want to have tea. She said, I want you to know that everybody notices here Don, Reverend Don. He speaks, he's on the board, he talks in front of the room. Nobody sees me. I want you to know that I have lived all over the world. I have flown for 6 months at a time to Hong Kong. I have done accessorizing for Cher. I created pants in fashion design that was featured in Oprah's magazine. And I am an extremely successful businesswoman. Wow. Bam. And I said, I acknowledge and want other people to know that. And thank you for bringing that to my attention. So how, who, why, where do we sit with certain things? Hebrews 12:3 says very clearly, be aware when you are in the midst of strangers, for perhaps you're entertaining angels unawares. What's the good stuff? What's under the surface stuff? What are those wonder-bred realities that are not really that deep truth of how you feel, but you're still living out some kind of influence, some kind of belief? And the strangers can also be your thoughts. And to be able to transcend a judgmental thought to a place of discernment and clarification is one of the most freeing things in the world. Right? It's very freeing because keep in mind, but your thoughts aren't really affecting the pit bulls, aren't really affecting some of the creatures, aren't really affecting the other people. They're affecting you. and the ability to have this vibrant life. Because when you continue to train the mind, eventually it becomes more quiet. And less people are talking up there. We don't mind you talking to yourself, but when everybody starts talking through you, now that's another conversation. But it lessens that. It lessens that, and you're able to just it's instantaneous freedom. Instantaneous freedom. Don't talk to me about alcoholism, that somebody knew better and didn't do better. Don't talk to me about that. Talk to me about discernment, that it is an allergy. Do you judge people that are allergic to shellfish? No. Right? No, it's an allergy. You think intelligent, vibrant, dynamic people like me and about half this room, excuse me, I'm still anonymous, not me, but you. You think we kept doing that because we didn't know better? Please. You understand that? And so we're free from it forever. We're free from it. We're free. A cute story that, I just have to pull it up and dust it off every year because I love it. But there's a woman that's getting ready to board her plane. And so she's sitting there, and she kind of noticed this guy there where the chair was. She was going to be seated, and she didn't really want to be there, but there weren't any more seats. So she kind of hesitantly sits over beside him. And so in a moment, she starts hearing a noise. And she looks, because before she sat down, she had purchased a newspaper and she had purchased a pack of cookies. And she looks, and the guy is getting a cookie out of her cookie pack. And she looks over at him. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So in a minute, she hears the noise again. He's getting another cookie. And she's just like, what do I do? Oh my gosh, I can't believe he would do this. Oh my word. He has the audacity to pull out another cookie and offer to break it in half to give her some. By that time, she's like, I'm out of here. And they call her to get in her line, and she does, and she reaches in to get her ticket on her phone. And when she does, she sees her whole pack of cookies is in there untouched. Oh, those were his cookies, for those of you that are still following. Those are his cookies, not hers. We think that sometimes, right? Somebody has our cookies and they don't. Somebody wants our cookies and they could care less, right? Right? So it's freedom in that space. It's freedom in that energy. You know, about 10 years ago, I felt this long before then, not that I need to get credit, but I've always felt that because I started in Unity at 19, that Unity and Science of Mind walk hand in hand. And so Association of Global New Thought, that's one of the reasons I joined that team, was that I wanted to see this merging of us coming together. Because common sense and discernment would tell you that if you do not understand that Science of Mind and Unity are similar, then don't be an activist for peace in the world, because it's too far-fetched. Because Science of Mind and Unity are as close as you can ever get. And when you hold that in your consciousness and your life, then you begin to see that with the similarities that, whoa, collectively we're a much larger movement that's actually moving instead of judging how we're different, which keeps us stagnant. So once they opened that door, I just jumped in that door. But often I've been judged here for that. And they'll go, well, are we still going to say First Unity Spiritual Campus? And I go, that's the name of us for the rest of our lives. But we are talking integration. And it's very healthy because people have prejudged that. And people will come up to me and say, well, you know, we're learning Science of Mind. And, you know, Ernest Holmes, he wasn't about Jesus. And I don't say it because I'm kind. But I think to myself, because it's true, you haven't read the Science of Mind textbook. Because if you read the Science of Mind textbook, you would know just about every meditation in there Ernest Holmes did related to a parable or something about Jesus. But like the rest of us, it wasn't about the person, it was about the essence of what's possible for all of us. So it's been a real beautiful ride. It's been an energetic ride, and it's been very freeing for us to look at our common thread. Right? People will go, oh, you know, I go to Unity and we're doing gospel now. You don't build communities on pop rock, team, right? You build it on the integration of the depth of the sacred, and you can have it all. So it's not just one thing. It's not just two things. And we're not going back to the church that you still judge all of life about, because none of us came here to do that, right? But we want to understand that it's about the integration within ourselves to discern. I don't say I'm a recovering Southern Baptist. I don't say that anymore. Well, that rose a laughter. Okay, get it, release it. Okay. I want you to have your turn, okay? No, I used to say that. I don't say that anymore. I am grateful to understand what bondage looks like as I discern it, what the lack of freedom looks like. I am grateful. And I am grateful because I can understand other people resist change so much, or have a role in their mind called church that they can come here for years still looking for us to do something, shall we say, inappropriate. Right? And so we release, we let go. My shaman teacher, she selected me as her protege, and we spent many years together. And she moved from Canada. I felt very honored to work with her. But we went through a phase there as I was getting ready to birth into a butterfly. I'd certainly spent a lot of time in cocoon and Corilla sage. But as I was birthing, what occurred to me is like she had an agenda. And she told me, you know, I don't like it that you're down there at that Unity church. You know, and I loved her, so don't judge me, okay? I do love her. You know, I don't like it that you and BB got together. I just don't feel good about that. I don't like where you live. So one day I went, you don't like where I live in my spiritual home, you don't like where I live in my home, and you don't like who I live with, so I've decided you don't like me. Right? You don't like me. Wow. Wow. Let's talk about that. Let's don't talk about all these externals. Let's talk about the key in the book to the business card that says, let's be shamanic practitioners together and be grown-ups here. Let's look at that reality, you see, because it's a very powerful thing. I meet so many people. I used to teach prosperity classes. I imagine we could use a few more here. But I used to, you know, hear so many students and their judgments about people that have a lot of money. And in that, you never know what somebody is experiencing. You never know where they are. You never know what's going on. You never know how they came by it. You never know the price they paid to have it. Or you don't know the price that they paid to keep it, you see. And yet, what I know for sure is we do not inherit that which we criticize. So we look at these spaces, like the woman that Emmett Fox talked about. It's Eric Butterworth. Emmett said, I didn't say that. I could hear him go, brown. Okay. Eric Butterworth. All right. Eric Butterworth tells the story of a very wealthy woman. And maybe she felt like she needed to apologize. And maybe she felt like, people were judging her because she was so wealthy. So she talked about how much trouble it was. She talked about how hard it was to have it. She talked about the inconveniences of it. She literally worked her way out of her life to one room. Be aware of that. Be aware of how you talk about marriage. Be aware of how you talk about coupling. Be aware of how you talk about conscious coupling. Be aware of how you talk about relationship, how you talk about money, how you talk about health, how you talk about dancers, that what they have endured since they were this high. And be aware of that and just discern, do I want this? Then I might need to make an adjustment of how I hold it. Yeah. I love Jack Boland, Unity minister, who said, I dedicate myself to be of maximum service to God and those around me, and to live in the highest example for others to follow. I remain in a place of excitement and expectancy, and all is well. So it is. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you.